Bodybuilders are looked up to as the gods of muscle mass throughout their careers. They usually are always busy with posters, movies, and endorsements. But ever imagine what happens after they are way past their sunny prime? What happens when these mass monsters retire? Let's check out bodybuilders before and after retirement. Number 6. Lee Haney. Lee Haney is an 8-time Mr. Olympia winner, tied with Ronnie Coleman for the most titles. After his exit from bodybuilding, Haney was named chairman of the President's Council on Physical Fitness and Sports by then-President Bill Clinton. He became interested in bodybuilding as a child by reading magazines. He was so inspired by the bodybuilders on the printed copy that he did what he never thought was possible through hard work and dedication. He has won the Mr. Olympia title 8 times, which is a massive accomplishment in and of itself. Lee was winning titles as a teenager in 1979 and was unstoppable until he retired in the early 90s. Also, he has beaten the great Arnold Schwarzenegger, a 7-time winner of Mr. Olympia. Lee is the youngest bodybuilder to record at 24 and the youngest one to retire from the games at 31. Haney married Shirley, the love of his life, in 1983. Shirley helps Lee in his various endeavors. She is looking after Haney's nutrition and fitness line as seriously as he. A practicing Christian, Lee Haney operates a TV series on the Trinity Broadcast Network called Total Lee Fit with Lee Haney. In the program, he promotes both physical and spiritual strength. It would be an understatement to say that he has made a great name in his field after making a remarkable name in the bodybuilding industry and being appointed as the chairman of Bill Clinton's President's Council on Physical Fitness and Sports. Lee Haney, also known as Total Lee Awesome, is a bodybuilding fanatic. He is an inspiration to many people around the world, not only because of his notable accomplishments, but also because of his reputation as a wonderful person. Number 5. Chris Dickerson. Born in 1939, bodybuilder Chris Dickerson won his only IFBB Mr. Olympia title in 1982 at the age of 43. In addition to his bodybuilding career, Chris was an accomplished opera singer. Chris Dickerson, who was the first black man to win the Mr. America contest, shook up the muscle-bound world of bodybuilding and established himself as one of its elite competitors. Mr. Dickerson, who stood 5 feet 6 inches tall and weighed 190 pounds, was named Mr. America in 1970. Controversy followed in the 1981 Mr. Olympia competition when Franco Columbu came out of retirement to win, despite an ostensibly poorer figure. Mr. Dickerson again placed second. Mr. Columbu's win was one of the worst decisions in bodybuilding, Frank Zane, a 3-time Mr. Olympia, said in an interview. But Mr. Dickerson persevered and won the title the following year. He ended his career having won 4 major titles: Mr. Olympia, Mr. America, Mr. Universe, and the Pro Mr. America. His competitive career spanned about 30 years in total and 60 competitions. Chris Dickerson retired from the sport in 1995. He won the 1982 Mr. Olympia at 43, making him the oldest victor, a record that was only barely beaten by Sean Roden in 2018. Perhaps the first openly gay bodybuilder, Chris came out during the 70s. His sexual orientation was known in bodybuilding circles, but which he did not often publicly discuss at the height of his career. He lived in Florida at the time of his passing at age 82 due to a heart attack. Rest in peace, Mr. Olympia. Number 4. Samir Banu. Samir Banu, also known as the Lion of Lebanon, won his only Mr. Olympia title in 1983. Before retiring from bodybuilding in 1996, Samir Banu managed to complete a total of 58 times. Samir left his native Lebanon and emigrated to America, where he first moved to Detroit, Michigan, and later relocated to Santa Monica, California. He began competing at an amateur level, where he rose up the ranks and eventually achieved IFBB Pro status by winning the light heavyweight class at the 1979 IFBB World Amateur Championships. Banu took 4th place at the 1982 Mr. Olympia contest and returned the following year to Munich, Germany, to take home the Olympia title in 1983. Banu weighed 196 pounds for his win at the contest, which made him the last Mr. Olympia to weigh under 200 pounds. His victory ended what is referred to as the aesthetics era for the Mr. Olympia contest. He was one of the first bodybuilders to be open about his use of anabolic steroids. I have to be quite truthful with you. I have used anabolics. I'm not going to have to deny it, because all the other Mr. Olympia contenders, I feel that they are using it, and I only use it to reverse catabolic effect. Previously married to Lee Labrada's sister, Samir now lives in Los Angeles with his wife Randa. Number 3. Vince Taylor. Vince Taylor is an American bodybuilder born in 1956. During his career, Vince won 22 total titles. This was a world record until broken by Ronnie Coleman, who surpassed the record with a 26-win total. He also holds the record with 5 Masters Olympia titles, capturing victories in 1996, 97, and 1999 to 2001. He won 22 IFBB competitions during his 3-decade-long reign in bodybuilding, a record beaten only by the legendary Ronnie Coleman. In 1983, Vince participated in his first ever competition. 5 years later, he won his pro card. After this, he went on a rampage, winning 24 shows out of 66 he participated in between 1989 to 2002. This period between 1989 to 2002 represented the golden years in Vince's career. During this time, he set a world record for the most IFBB wins in bodybuilding history, 22. This record was later beaten by Ronnie Coleman's 26 victories for the IFBB. Furthermore, Vince also set a record for the most Masters Olympia victories ever, 5. Because of these achievements, he forever embedded his name among the greatest bodybuilders in history. A bodybuilding legend, Vince retired from professional bodybuilding in 2002 after placing second at the Masters Olympia that year. However, his retirement didn't last long. He came back 4 years later, taking home 3rd place at the Australian Pro at 50 years old. Vince's official retirement took place 1 year later after placing 10th at the 2007 Arnold Classic. Vince currently lives in Florida. He maintains a substantial following on social media. Number 2. Ronnie Coleman. The king of bodybuilding, the 8-time Mr. Olympia winner and one of the biggest and strongest bodybuilders in modern history, Ronnie Coleman was the supreme ruler of the bodybuilding world during the early 2000s. No one could even come close to his massive physique, symmetry, and strength. Ronnie isn't just one of the best in the history of the sport. He's one of the strongest and hardest working. He was famous for his 2,000 pounds leg press, 800 pounds squat, and 200 pounds dumbbell chest presses. This attitude spreads far beyond just lifting too. Ronnie Coleman gave 100% to every single thing he was involved in. This includes his original day job as a police officer. He retired from competing in 2007 after placing 4th in his last Mr. Olympia competition. Since then, Coleman has been working on his supplement line and dealing with multiple backs and hip surgeries he picked up from all those years of heavy lifting. After 12 spine surgeries and the possibility of never being able to walk again, he literally had to learn how to walk again, and finally back on his feet training, slowly picked up lifting weight again, but his monstrous size has severely diminished. Number 1. Tom Platz. Tom Platz, also known as the Golden Eagle, Tom was known for having the biggest quads on the planet. He was the first bodybuilder to take leg day to a whole new level. Between 1979 and 1986, Tom Platz competed in 7 Mr. Olympia competitions. His best placing was 3rd in 1981. Tom Platz may have never won an Olympia, but the 1980 IFBB Mr. Universe winner was a perennial crowd favorite over the course of his bodybuilding career. To this day, Platz is often cited as having the best legs in the history of bodybuilding, being nicknamed the Quad Father. Tom Platz retired from the professional bodybuilding competition in 1987 and did a comeback in 1995 when he was awarded honorary Mr. America. He still promotes the sport wholeheartedly. He played the part of bodybuilder in the 1990 film Book of Love. Tom remains a huge proponent of the sport. At the age of 61, he is still one of the top guest speakers in the bodybuilding world. I just want to give back to the sport I love, which has been really great to me. These days, Platz is still a force in the bodybuilding community, traveling the world to give seminars and teach squat clinics. Like the vast majority of current and former pro bodybuilders, he's also active on Instagram, where he posts a healthy balance of throwback shots and current life updates for more than 195,000 followers. Tom Platz was and is one of the most sought-after guest speakers in the world of bodybuilding, nutrition, and general fitness. He was a professor and the director of bodybuilding sciences at ISSA for 14 years. Tom has a master's in fitness science, a bachelor in science physiology and nutrition from Wayne State University and Michigan State University, and a master's in business administration from the University of California. That's all for this video, folks. See you another time.